Once again, turmoil has reached the highest levels of the Russian
Inflation,
military.
Putin is turning
A string
against
of
his own
failures
generals.
in
Putin
what
has
the
turned his
Kremlin
sights towards his
insists on
own
calling a
warmongers.
special
Mr.
military
Pinchuk's pending
operation
departure comes
has
from the
redirected
pro-Ukrainian
Putin's
partisan
anger
direction
toward those closest to him.
the commander.
This time,
Here's that
it's the
Pinchuk is about to be
generals.
stripped of his
The
position
very
in the wake
people
of his
tasked
complete
with
and utter
delivering
failure
victory
to
are
resurrect
being
Rush claims is a
removed one by
surefire
one.
sign that something
More
huge is
than
going
anything
down.
else,
As such
these
visits are
purges
usually
send a
a sign
clear
that
message.
internal investigations
Russia's
are happening,
war in
but at least
Ukraine
Pinchuk
has
wasn't responsible for the
effectively
deaths
hit a
of
dead end.
untold
The
thousands
first
of Russian
casualty
soldiers.
of this new wave
That was the
is
main
the
achievement
commander
of the second
Black
man
Sea
on the
Fleet,
Kremlin chopping
Sergei
block.
Pinchuk,
So keep watching to
or
find out
rather
about
the
him.
former commander.
Group says that though the
Reports
firing of
indicate
Pinchuk
that
hasn't
he
been
is
made
on the
official yet.
verge of being
Several high
dismissed
there you have it.
following
It's
years
not
of
loose
failure
lips
to
that sink
revive a
ships.
fleet that
It's
has been
the first
all
time
but
that
rendered
Putin sacked the
ineffective
leader of
over the
fleet.
course of the war.
You see, Pinchuk is
The news
actually
was
that
first
somebody who can
reported
make
by the
Russia's
partisan
warships
group
viable again.
Atesh,
The
which is
warship
aligned
since
with
the Falklands
Ukrainian
War.
forces.
Ossip
In a
party to do
statement
anything to
posted
stop
on
a July
Telegram,
strike on the
the
former
group
Black Sea
claimed
Fleet
that Russia's
headquarters at
military
Sevastopol
leadership
didn't
is
help his
actively
case,
seeking a
especially as the
replacement
attack
for the
caused
Black
Russia
Sea
to
Fleet
cancel events
commander.
scheduled for its
According to
self-aggrandizing
Atesh's
Navy Day in the
sources,
region.
the decision
Ukraine's
is
ink
driven
didn't
by
last much
widespread
longer, and dismissals
failures
of a
in
military
protecting
commander carried out
bases
by
and
Russia
vessels,
since the
as
start
well
of
as a
Putin's
serious
invasion.
inability to
It was no
counter
surprise then when he was taken out of the
Ukrainian
picture,
unmanned naval drones.
but his replacement
Although
didn't fare much better.
Pinchuk's dismissal has
Ukraine
not
destroyed
yet been
many more of
officially
Russia's
announced,
ships,
the
placing
sudden
the fleet in
transfer
such a
of
state
several
of panic
senior fleet
that it was forced to
officials from
withdraw its ships
Novorossiysk
as far
to
away from
Moscow
Ukraine's
is a
missiles and
familiar
drones as it
signal
could manage,
within Russia's
would have to
military
stay in
system,
Russia,
often
right under the watchful
indicating
eye of a
internal
Kremlin that no
investigations
longer trusted
and
him,
major decisions
assuming
being made
Sokolov was
behind
even
closed
still
doors.
alive at the time of his
In
dismissal.
recent months,
Interestingly,
successful
September 20,
Ukrainian
humiliation
attacks on
once
Black
again
Sea
was all that
fleet
Russia's
bases
new
and
Black Sea Fleet
facilities have
commander delivered to
intensified,
Putin.
from Sevastopol
Finally, in
to
February
Crimea.
2024, the Moscow
In some
Times
cases,
reported that
Russian
pro-war
forces
Russian military
reportedly
bloggers
took up to
were
40
reporting that
minutes to
Sokolov had
respond,
been fired,
an almost
described
catastrophic
as
delay
an
in
absolute
modern
disaster.
warfare.
In the
The
nearly
issue
2
was
years of
not
his leadership,
information
Ukraine
leaks,
managed
but
all of
slow
this while barely
reactions
having a
and an
warship of its
inability
own
to
to attack the
effectively
once
counter
dreaded fleet.
asymmetric
As
threats.
Artesh pointed out in
However,
the Telegram post,
Pinchuk is not
Ukraine
the
solved
first
that
commander
problem by
to fall
developing
victim to these
UAVs
failures.
to conduct
He's
strikes
the
in places
third head
where
of
its
the Black
missiles and
Sea
aerial
Fleet
drones
since the
couldn't
war
reach.
began.
Missile
Before him was
Russia
Igor
instantly denied
Osipov,
this,
who was in
releasing video
command when
footage
the
of Sokolov.
flagship
That's
cruiser
strange in its
Moskva
own right.
sank
And there's
in
a small
April
chance that his
2022,
firing
an
may have ended
incident
up being a
considered
way
the
for Russia
largest
to cover
loss
up
of a
his death.
single
Pinchuk
warship
has
since
become
the
the third
Falklands
victim of
War.
Putin's Black Sea Fleet
Osipov was
cults.
removed from
Frankly,
his
it's
post
starting to
just
feel
a
like
few
it
months
doesn't matter
later.
who Putin puts in
His
charge
replacement,
next.
Victor
That man
Sokolov,
is infamous
performed
senior
even worse.
Russian general.
Under his
Sokolov fleet has
leadership,
been battered
Ukraine
almost since the
inflicted
Ukraine war began,
increasingly
so
heavy
surely the
losses
firing
on
of
the
its
fleet,
commander was overdue.
forcing Russia
And it
to
was.
pull its
By
vessels
July of
farther away from
2025,
the
the
reach
Black
of
Sea
Ukrainian
Fleet had
missiles
almost
and
disappeared
drones.
from the very body of water that
Eventually,
gave the fleet
reports
its
of
name.
Sokolov's
Radio Free
dismissal
Europe, Radio
surfaced in
Libre,
early
telling the lives of his
2024,
soldiers for territory.
coinciding with the issuance
Akhmedov
of an
was a favorite of
international
Putin's for a
arrest
long
warrant
time.
against him.
No wonder
There
they've all
were
been
even
given a boot.
rumors that Sokolov
Defense
had been
talks
killed
highlighted
in a
other
Ukrainian
problems
missile
that the Black
strike,
Sea Fleet's
claims
withdrawal
that
has caused for
Russia
Russia.
attempted to
With the
dismiss
western
by
parts of the Black
releasing a
Sea
vague
essentially
video
surrendered
from
to
an
Ukraine,
online meeting.
Putin's enemy has
Since
been
then,
able to
his
restart
name has
grain
largely
shipments to get some
disappeared
much-needed
from the
income
public
pumping
stage.
back into Ukraine's economy.
The conclusion is clear.
Operational
It no
uselessness
longer
caused
matters
by a
who
catalogue
takes
of
command
failures has led
next.
to the culling of
The
Black Sea Fleet
Fleet
commanders.
has been
But at
so
least, and when
heavily
you learn a
damaged
little about his
that it
history
has
in Ukraine,
effectively
it
been
becomes hard to
removed
see
from the
why he
war's
lasted so
equation.
long.
By
Akhmedov seems like the perfect
mid-2024,
choice for Russia
Ukraine had
prior to the
destroyed
Ukraine
roughly
invasion.
one-third
There
of
once
the
was a
fleet,
meat grinder man,
prompting
any
even the
worthwhile
UK
strategy
Ministry
he
of
did bad.
Defence to
His career had
describe
seemed
it as
outstanding, but he couldn't stop
operationally
himself from
inactive.
floundering. Now the meat
Without a
grinder man
traditional
is down the
navy,
path.
Ukraine
Kiev Post
shifted
says
the
has ties
balance
to the
of
Kremlin,
power by
reported
relying
that
on
Akhmedov was
missiles,
gone.
drones,
Russia's
and
Astra
unmanned
agency
surface
and
vessels.
Ukrainian mainstream
By the
news
summer
outlet
of
picked up on the story the
2025,
following day.
Russia's
And there has
presence
been
in
no
the Black
official
Sea had been
confirmation from
reduced
Russia of the
to a
firing
minimum,
of one of
and
Putin's former
Ukraine was
favorites.
able to
The reality
reopen grain
seems
export
inevitable.
routes,
Akhmedov is
delivering
gone.
a significant
The Kiev Post
economic
says that
blow
several
to
outlets
Moscow.
have have reported that the Kremlin
But
has
the
gotten rid of
purges did
Having
not
started
stop
his career
at
in the
sea.
mid-1990s, the
Next in
senior
line
general
was a
excelled as
general
part
who
of
had
Russia's
earned the
elite
grim
naval infantry
nickname
marine
the
units.
Butcher.
Sure, he had no
Sukhrav
combat experience
Akhmedov,
before the Ukraine war.
a man whose
The massive
strategy
war
was
that followed
brutally
proved
simple.
that fleet was
Advance
far
at
less of an
any
issue.
cost,
But
even if
Akhmedov
that
made
cost
himself
was the
stand out by
lives
ordering
of
his fleet, unlike
thousands
many of his
soldiers.
contemporaries, he hadn't
For
served in
years,
Syria,
Akhmedov
instead
was
focusing on
trusted
commanding
by
Russia's
Putin and rose through
155th
the
Marine
ranks
Infantry
because of this
Brigade in
very
Vladivostok
approach.
between
But
2009
reports suggest
and
that
either
eventually
2014 or 15.
the scale of the
Owen doing his
casualties
homework at
became
Moscow's Frunze
impossible to
Academy,
hide.
which primes
In
promising
January,
officers for futures
Russian
in Russia's
military
top command.
bloggers and media
Forces to
outlets
launch
reported
useless
his
attacks
removal.
against Ukraine's defenses
While never
in the village of
officially
Mush-defenses
confirmed,
in the hope they
the
would break
decision
through.
now appears
In
all
April,
but
Akhmedov
certain.
commanded a marine assault
His
group
record
fighting
in
in eastern
Ukraine
Ukraine's
reads like a
government,
catalog
started
of
a
failure.
career of throwing
From
bodies at
fruitless
Marines from
assaults
Russia's
near
155th
Kyiv to the
Brigade,
disaster
Sentinel
at
of skills.
Vuhledar,
But the man who
followed
had
by
become
the
the butcher of
costly
many of his own
Kursk
soldiers
operation.
was just getting started.
In some engagements,
Akhmedov was
hundreds of
promoted to the
soldiers
command of
and
Russia's
dozens of
20th
tanks were
Combined Arms
lost
Army
in
in
just a
December
matter of
following the
days.
publishing of this letter.
And yet,
Failing
Akhmedov
upward is a very
continued
real
to
thing.
be promoted.
An open letter to
A
the governor of
textbook
Sakhalin
case of
Island,
failing
accusing the
upward.
commander of being Netsk.
The
He
final
was so
blow
unsuccessful
came
in
during
this
the
endeavor to
Dobrovolya
oversee the
operation.
ground and air forces
There,
assigned to take
thousands
Kursk
of
back
Russian
from
troops
Ukraine.
were sent in
The body
wave
count rose,
after
tactically
wave
ignorant
without
and wasting
adequate
marine
support
lives
or
on fruitless
logistics,
attacks.
only to be cut
And a key
down by
post report,
Ukrainian
which
drones
suggests
and
that
artillery.
Russia's president approved of the
Even the
lives for
use of
territory
civilian
Krechun, which is north
vehicles
of
and
Kyiv.
dismounted
Thus,
infantry
by
assaults
2023,
failed
Akhmedov
to
was throwing
change the
soldiers under
outcome.
his command against the
Estimates
minefields,
point to
guided
nearly
missiles and artillery fire
21,000
that made up the
Russian
defenses
soldiers
of the village
killed
of
in
Volodar
just a few
Donetsk.
months.
Months
This
for this
time,
wannabe
even
tactical
Putin's
genius to break
loyalty
that
was
village
not
and
enough
yet
to
more
save
die.
him.
One period of
These
fighting between
repeated
February 9th
dismissals
and 10th,
represent far more
2023,
than the
saw the
removal
forces
of a
under
few
act once
commanders.
more.
They
Though
are
Akhmedov succeeded in
destabilizing
reclaiming
Russia's
the
military
1,300
structure
square
in the
kilometers.
middle of a
When
war.
Putin invaded Ukraine,
Analysts
Akhmedov was ready
warn
to
that
shine.
such purges
However,
can
he started
fuel
failing from the
internal
moment he
rivalries,
set foot in Ukraine.
create power
He was to
vacuums,
possess
and
502
weaken
square
overall
miles that Ukraine had
military
taken in
readiness.
Kursk. The entire
Lessons history
operation,
has
starting from
demonstrated
Ukraine's
time
capture of the
and
territory,
again.
cost Russia,
In the
finally,
end,
an
the
assignment in
Kremlin may try to
Dobrovolya
frame these
appears to have been
changes
the
as
straw that broke
reform,
Putin's back.
but the reality is
RFU
far
News
bleaker.
chronicled Akhmedov's
The
Dobrovolya
replacements will inherit
offensive
fractured
was to
forces
aid in the
and
encircling
failed
of the city of
strategies.
Pokrovsk, which
Putin
Russia has
may
been
be
trying to
cutting
capture
loose
for
his
almost 2
commanders,
years.
but the real
Infiltration
problem
groups
lies
achieved some
elsewhere.
shallow penetration,
Sooner
though
or later,
Ukraine was
he
often
may be
quick to
forced
reverse
to
whatever
confront
minor
the
gains
truth
these groups
he has
made.
long avoided.
Even seeing that his
Russia
tactic
has
wasn't
already
working, to
lost
cling to
the
whatever
war in
footholds they
Ukraine.
had,
It
even in
just
the absence of
hasn't
Logista
officially
in its
admitted
reports on the
it yet.
commander's